Hi guys! How's it going? I'm going to show you my preventive maintenance on my electric scooter 010. So I'm going to be detail by detail and parts by parts, and I'm hoping you will learn something from this video. So let's do this. Now we all know that this rear tire has this split hub that plays a very big part on our scooter. We're going to check the tightness of the screws and the disc rotor, the alignment, and the calipers. Okay, so we're going to do it one by one. Okay, let's do it. Now, as you can see, we have here the screws on our rear hub, which is a split type. We need to make sure that these screws are tight, and we need to use an Allen wrench. Best type is the ball type. Okay, and we can't fit it here, so we're going to use the advantage of the holes in our disc rotors. And yes, okay, and so on and so forth. At the same time, we have here the screws on our disc rotor. We want to make sure that these are all tight. Not so tight, but tight. Okay? Going to use an Allen wrench also. And I think they are tight too. If you are having trouble with tightening the screws because some of them already lost their thread, okay, we can use this for the penetrant lubricant spray. Tightening up, and of course we want to make sure that the screws on our calipers are tight. I'm going to use an Allen wrench. Okay, of course this Allen screws should be tight also. Yeah, it should be ball type, most recommended. But don't tight it very much, okay? So that it won't be loose thread. Now, before we check the alignment of our disc rotor, it will be best if we will remove our fender. So to remove our fender, we will need a screwdriver so that we could remove these screws. So we have a screw here, we have a screw here, somewhere here, and here. So we have 4 screws for the fender. 1, 2, 3, and 4 at the back. Okay. Now, after removing our fender, we can now clearly see the disc rotor and the caliper. And if you want to see the disalignment of, or rather, if there's a disalignment on our disc rotor, we could use our throttle. So as you can see, my disc rotor has a very little wobble, but it doesn't really matter that much. Unless if it's really not aligned, we could use our handy dandy throwing fork. Okay? Yeah. That's the throwing fork. So I'm going to show you a technique on how to throw our, or how to align our disc rotor. Okay? What you will need is a pentel pen or a marker, because you're going to mark each side of this rotor. Let's say this 1, this is 2, and this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, and this is 6. Okay? Normally, it will scratch the brake pads. So, you will check if what number will scratch the brake pad. This, for example, this side, scratch the brake pads. Okay? So, you will remember, oh, it is under around number 5. Maybe here, could be here, could be here, could be here. So, you're going to use our throwing fork. Just going to throw it, and if it is scratching on this side, we're going to align it this side. That's how you do the truing on the disc rotor. And now I'm going to show you how to align this rotor on the caliper by adjusting the caliper. So we have this screw here, Allen screw here, and there's another one here, and you have to loose them up. Okay, so now our caliper is adjustable. So yeah, you will check if what angle it is scratching the brake pads. This angle is scratching the brake pads. You should tighten this bit. Oops. Okay, so maybe around here. Okay, so we were able to through our disc rotor and as well as align our disc caliper. Now we will no longer hear any scratch on the brake pads, especially when I use the throttle. Basically, the fluid you're hearing is my sealant inside my tube. If I go faster, you're not hearing any scratch on the brake pads. Okay, so that's how you through the disc rotor and align the disc caliper. Okay. We also want to make sure that this nut is very tight. So we're going to use a wrench. Tighten it. Yeah, it's tight already. And on this side also, it should be tight. And I guess it's already tight. And on your front tire, you want to make sure that the screws are also tight. What you did on our rear tire, it's calipers and disc rotor. It also applies on our front tire. So if you have a problem on aligning the disc rotor, okay, you can use a throwing fork, and for you to have a guide on it, you could use a marker. You want to make sure also that the calipers are also aligned on the disc rotor. You could loosen these screws, these two screws. If you want to have a stronger brake, you could tighten this spring here. Be careful, you have to watch the piece of twisted wire here. Okay? Okay, and okay, there we go. Oops. Yeah. I think it's on max, and I can feel it on my brake lever. If you have a grab bar and you have your screw here joining the suspension and the grab bar and the connecting pipe on this deck, you should tighten it also. Make sure it's already tight. It's already tight. And of course, do it on the other side too. Now we want to make sure that these two Allen screws are tight because it's connecting the bracket here, which is attached to our fender, and it has this nut, and this bracket is connecting to this pipe. What do you call this? So we want to make sure that these two Allen screws are tight. Not so tight so that it won't lose its thread. As you can see, this entire stem has its foundation. This foundation should be strong, or rather very, very strong. So we want to make sure that these 6 screws are well tightened. Okay? These are 1, 2, 3. The other 3 is there. 1, 2, 3 on the other side. Okay. So we want to make sure that they are tight by using this Allen wrench. Of course, best recommended if it is ball type. Okay. Now, this screw here also needs to be tight because it is the screw that is holding from this bracket to this stem. So, we need to make sure it's tight. As you can see, it's moving, not because it's not tight, but because it has another screw on the other side of it that is also moving. So, to counter it, you need another Allen wrench which is the same size to counter the rotation on the other side so that you could tighten this very well. Now, some of you are wondering, why is it that my stem is not so stable? It's wobbly and it's shaking while I'm riding it. Okay, the only reason is this, the 2 screws here. After you fold your 010, if this is your front tire, okay, you will notice there's a rubber tube here on the bracket connecting your stem. So let's try to zoom it. Okay, there you go. This rubber tube is the only reason your stem is not so stable. So you need to make sure that both of these screws are tight. Normally it should be Allen screw, but I lost the both of them, so I replaced them with a much stronger screw. Okay, I think both of them are already tight. And also, we want to make sure that these screws are also tight because it is connecting the bracket which is encapsulating the steering rod. Okay, so we want to make sure that these screws are also tight too. Here, and you tighten them on the other side. Special case on my Cree because it is installed on one of the screws on the other side. Behind your throttle, you will notice there's a small piece of Allen screw here. You need to make sure it's tight because it is connecting the throttle lever here and the throttle controller. Okay, if this little screw here loosen and on that moment you are currently pressing the throttle lever, I can assure you there's a small piece of plastic that will snap on the inside of this throttle lever and it could bring you an accident because normally your scooter will auto accelerate on itself because it has a loose lever. Okay, I had this experience that upon approaching a stoplight, an intersection, there's a small piece of plastic that was snapped on the inside of this lever. Oh boy, my scooter automatically accelerates on its own while I am in the front of intersection and I almost got hit by a van. So always make sure that this small piece of screw is tightened. So as you can see, we have a screws here underneath your deck. Okay, literally under your stem. So you need to make sure that these screws are tight because these screws are no joke. They can really affect your riding experience. Make sure that they are well tightened. Okay, and make sure that they are not collecting rust inside. So you want to use this WD-40, and like for example, you loosen one of the screws and you put some WD-40 inside. Okay, and tighten it, and you do it to all of the screws here. Okay, it's no joke. Please do that. They can really affect your riding experience. I don't have much time to explain what these screws are for. Just please make sure that they are well tightened. On the back of your scooter, underneath near the rear tire, you will also notice there are screws here, Allen screws. Okay, you need to make sure that they are also tightened and they're not collecting rust inside. So please make sure that again you will use a WD-40 and just loosen all the screws. Oh man. Put a WD-40 fluid inside. Spray. Okay. Okay, and tighten it. And you do that to the 4 of them. You know why? Because not only it affects your riding experience, but also these screws are incorporated with your suspension. Okay? So please make sure that they're not collecting rust. Yes? Okay. And you also want to make sure that these screws are intact. Okay, as you can see, I lost one here. So I need to find the screw similar to this. Okay, these screws are tightening this bracket that is encasing the rear lights here. And it also applies to these screws here. They should be well tightened. And if you want to have a smoother experience when you screw the screw bracket on your folding handlebar, you just need to insert a WD-40 inside of the screwing bracket. You will notice a very smooth feeling when you're screwing your folding handlebars. And now let's not forget about the tire check. Okay, as you can see, I have here my Xiaomi air pump and it's connected directly on my front tire. Okay, so currently it has the 42 psi, and ideally both tires of the 010 front and back should be at 45. So now I'm gonna dial it up to 45 and okay, so I'm around 45, 46, 47-ish psi on my tire. You do also the same thing on the rear tire. Okay? And there you have it, guys. I hope you learned a lot from this video, especially about the preventive maintenance of 010. And again, I'm not as good as the technicians or experts on the street wheels or its casa, but at least I'm trying my best to share my knowledge on how to keep my scooter 010 on its optimum performance. And again, if you like this video, please don't forget to click the like button below, and please don't forget to subscribe on my channel. Thank you for watching, goodbye, and I'll see you next time!